the season to be poppy. Hey y'all, I am back today at Pop's Place. We're making apple pie. Yes, not Mrs. Smith's from the freezer, not Marie Callender, homemade apple pie. And if everything goes according to plan, we'll do this video over the course of a few hours. I'll even cut a slice of it and show you how amazing it is, because it is really amazing. So thank you for all of those who keep viewing, for liking, for subscribing, for sharing this video with your friends, because that helps us out a whole lot, gets the channel going, gets it flowing, you know what I mean? So we're gonna get right to it. I'm gonna jump in and show you the ingredients. Okay, so ingredients for the apple pie are super simple. 4 good-sized apples. We will peel them, we will core them, we will slice them up very nice and thin. We'll have just a little bit of vanilla, a little bit of lemon juice. I have cinnamon and apple pie spice. Now, apple pie spice is generally cinnamon, allspice, and I think it's cloves. We might put in just a dash of ginger because I like it. Of course, you need sugar. Cornstarch is your thickening agent, although I will tell you the apples have a natural pectin in them, and that actually causes it to thicken up. Now, I only have one of the pie crusts out here that I made last night, but we'll actually need 2 of them. I'm leaving the other one in the fridge because we definitely don't want it to get to room temperature before we go to roll it and put the top crust on the pie. So, and then of course a pie pan, and I like to use a nice heavy-duty aluminum pie pan because it just assures that, you know, everything gets a nice even bake and it all looks good. I will use some aluminum foil as a pie shield for around the edge because I don't have a pie shield readily available to me right now. So I'll use a little bit of aluminum foil around the edge of the crust so the crust doesn't get too done, and then we'll let it brown up at the end. We will use an egg wash so that you get a nice sheen to it and everything looks really good. But other than that, in just a moment, we'll get started with preparation. All right, so the first thing that I'm gonna do, I'm getting one of the dough balls from what I made last night, and I just sprinkled just a little bit of flour on my work surface. We don't want to go crazy with this because you don't want that crust to be tough. You want a nice tender crust. So I'm also going to get a little flour here for my rolling pin, which, if any of you saw the little disaster that happened yesterday when I flipped it into the floor, that was quite the debacle. But at any rate, we are going to get this crust, and it's looking kind of nice. We shall see. Just always make sure that your rolling pin has enough flour, because dough will stick to it. That is a very common thing. And basically what we're doing is we're rolling out this dough so that it is large enough for the pie pan. There are no hard, fast rules with dough. Now, you notice there, I just totally ripped that dough because it stuck to my rolling pin. I'm just gonna Band-Aid it back together, keep it going. I got a little piece of dough there, Band-Aid it over there, doesn't really matter. And basically what I'm trying to do is to get a nice round, piece of dough. We hope it's not gonna stick too much. Apparently my rolling pin is just wanting to be sticky today, so we'll just make sure we go and flour it. That dough must have been really tender. So, all right, so I'm rolling it out. Let's see what we got. Almost there. We can do that, that'll be nice. This is gonna be thin, I can promise you that. But now what we do is we just very gently, without tearing it if you can, pull that dough up onto your rolling pin, like so. Put your pan under it, and then we're going to lay this dough over onto the pie pan. Yes, this dough is tender. I probably should have done a little more kneading with it, but that's all right. Now, I'm not doing anything to dress this right now. If you'll notice, I've got spots along the edge that are kind of goofy. At this bottom crust, I don't care. You know, it's going to be great. Vinegar that I put in this pie crust yesterday is keeping this dough nice and tender. It's, a little more difficult to work with, but the beautiful thing about it is it's going to be really good eats. You know what I'm saying? Now, as you're going, lift up those edges if there's any little air pockets under there, because you definitely don't want, the air pockets in it. So I'm going to lift those up, working on around. Work it on around, just a few minutes here. Make sure we're completely covered on those edges with dough. And once I have everything fully covered, then I'm just going to scoot around the edge of this with my knife. Super easy. I don't throw these dough crumbs away because you can do a lot with them, believe it or not. You know, I can use it for a little extra crust if I need it on the top crust. What my kids used to love is when we made pies, we would sprinkle those with butter and cinnamon and sugar and throw them in the oven and just bake the dough crumbs because they were that good. So anyway, that's the beginning. You're just going to have to live with a little bit of flour on my counter because that's the way I'm going to work. We'll come back and I'll show you exactly how I prep the apples, but right now we got our bottom crust, a little bit of flour on it, but it's going to turn out. It's going to be really nice. Can't wait. Okay, so with the apples, I've got a couple of different kinds. I've got some, I think they're Gala apples if I'm not mistaken, and then some Red Delicious. You know, a lot of people like a super tart apple in their apple pie, and that's definitely something you can do. You know, it definitely adds a nice contrast, but what I like to do is I add just a little bit of lemon juice in my pie, and that gives me a little bit of tart that kind of dresses that flavor a little bit. I peel the apple, you know, the way Grandpa used to, try to keep it in one piece. Just epic failed with that. Get, of course, the lion's share of the crust off. And I'm only going to show you one of these because I don't want to keep you on here for like 3 hours while I peel 2 apples. It doesn't take 3 hours, but you know what I'm saying. And then I take my paring knife. I'm just going to slice that apple in half. We have a core here. I'm just going into the core and getting out the mass of that, if you'll notice. And then I have my mandolin slicer, which I will put here. And of course, if you're using these, just please be careful. They're really nice tools. You can take a finger off with them. But basically the idea is I just want nice little thin slices, you know, something very thin. And I'll just cut these up. Now what I like to do is, as I'm going, because I'm going to be adding lemon juice to the pie anyway, what I'll do is I'll just sprinkle a little lemon juice on these apples as I go, and that'll keep them from turning brown before I actually get them ready for the mix. So, all right, so that's half the apple right there, not super hard. I've got this, and I should have fresh lemon juice, but unfortunately I don't have it in the house this morning, so no fresh lemon. I'm just going to sprinkle just a little bit of this juice, not too much, and just flip these apples over in it so that they don't start browning. Other than that, we'll do the other 3.5 apples that we've got to do, and we'll come back and I'll show you how we assemble. All right, so I did something that I am prone to do because I'm just feeling it. I've got a 1/2 cup of white sugar in this bowl, and I'm going to go with about a 1/2 cup of brown sugar as well, because brown sugar has just got this richness to it. I just made a mess with it, but make sure I don't have too much here. I'm not going to really strictly religiously measure this out, but I've got a 1/2 cup of brown sugar there. I've got a 1/2 cup of white sugar there. This is important to kind of do this in a separate bowl, but what I want to do is mix these sugars together, the white and the brown. If you'll notice, we're going to mix our dry ingredients, okay? And this is nifty. I've got my teaspoon measure here, and I'm going to do about a 1/2 teaspoon of apple pie spice. And again, you know, I do my best. I don't spend a lot of time crazy measuring. I'm going to do about a teaspoon of cinnamon because that's really what I want to be the predominant in this. At the same time, I'm going to do just a sprinkle of ginger because I like it. It makes for a very nice pie. And again, what we're doing, we're just mixing these dry ingredients together until they're well integrated. Looks really nice. Kinda. All right. Last but not least, and I am a huge proponent of this, if you are going to make a sweet dessert, add a 1/4 teaspoon of salt to it. It just gives it a complexity. It's very nice. Okay, so here you go. we have our dry ingredients and they are ready to go. So what I'm going to do, I have a spoon right here at the handy. All right, so we got our apples. And I'm gonna start sprinkling that dry over the apples. I'm just gonna start rolling them over just a little bit. Now this is about 6 cups of sliced apples. You know, it's 4 good-sized apples from the market. I don't have an apple orchard close by. I wish I did. That would be amazing. Oh, I forgot. Cornstarch. We got to get that in there. Sorry. Y'all, I'm terrible. I'm gonna do enough for a good heaping tablespoon of cornstarch. Cornstarch, I could have just ruined this whole pie, y'all. Did you see that? Get that in there with that dry ingredient as well. Cornstarch, don't forget. Add a little bit of my dry. Give it a once over. That cornstarch, these apples, as they bake, are gonna release their juices, and that pie will become really watery. And the cornstarch will cause that to make a beautiful, thick, appley, delicious, oh, I can't even believe it. Now I was sprinkling lemon juice on this the whole time. So nice. Rolling it over. Yes. Y'all, this is not super hard. It literally takes 15 minutes. If you have the crust, it takes 15 minutes to put together. But the first thing we have to do, we're going to bring over our pie crust, and I am going to add in the apples. Okay, so the idea is we're going to heap them high in the middle, a little bit less around the edges, and try to avoid getting the cinnamon sugar on the edges of the crust, because we want to seal that crust up, and it's a lot easier whenever we don't have that sugar on there. I will use a little bit of egg wash to seal the crust up. All right, look at that. Y'all, I mean, y'all, I wish you could smell this moment. It is like heaven came down, like right now. And these apples are going to bake and have themselves a little nervous breakdown in this pie shell, and we are going to have the most amazing, delicious pie. In just a little while, I'm going to have to take half of it to my mama because she's absolutely going to need a little bit of pie in her life, and so I got to let this cook and get cool before I go to mama's house. All right, we're back with the rolling pin and the pie dough, which I adore homemade pie crust. I can't even explain to you how much I love homemade pie crust. You're just going to try to very gingerly roll it to a size so that it will fit over the top of your pie. Not super hard, okay? Now I'm gonna pick it up, do it just like this. There's my pie, do you see it? Now I'm going to drape it over the top of the pie. What do you think, huh? Is it sexy yet? All right, now going around the edge with my paring knife. Definitely take your time with this, because there's no need to tear that crust. You just want to lightly cut it all the way around the edge. See how beautiful that was? Those crusts I'll definitely save, and we'll do something dessert oriented. But all right, now here's the trick with this. I'm going to try to show you. I don't know if you'll be able to see it or not, but we're going to try it. So the motion for crimping a pie is like this. You're going to make a duck's mouth with one hand. You're going to push with the thumb of the other hand. So I'm going to be on top. I am pushing with my fingers, and I am going to crimp up and push those 2 layers of crust together, just ever so gingerly. Turn the pie as you go. Can you see it? I don't know if you can or not. Duck's mouth and push with the thumb of the other hand. Now, if this was Thanksgiving, I'd be a little more fancy with all this, but I'm not. Now, we got our pie. If you'll notice, you see how it looks? Sexy. So cute. I'm going to go right to the middle, and I'm going to do a crosshatch in the middle, and I'm going to tell you why I'm going to do it. First of all, you always want to vent a covered pie so that it can, you know, do its thing. And I'm just going to go all the way around it and vent it, just like so. And, you know, I just remembered I left out the vanilla. That's okay. It's still going to make a great pie. But we are going to come back and I'll show you how we egg wash it. But this is the unbaked pie. This is what it looks like, and it is sexy. Now we're going to bake this at 350 degrees for 50 minutes to an hour. It's going to take quite a while because you definitely want those apples in the middle to get done. But this, y'all, this is pretty. This is beautiful. It's going to be so beautiful. Now I have to go and get my egg wash ready, and then I'm going to come back and show you what we do with that. Okay? Okay, so now for the egg wash, it's just a few teaspoons of water and a well-beaten egg. You know, I do this in just a cereal bowl with a little bit of a fork action here. Sexy. Perfecto. Now, the reason for this, it gives your pie a very nice sheen. We like that. So you don't want huge clumps of egg laying anywhere on the pie, but you definitely want to give it a good coating all the way around with your egg wash, because that's going to give it a beautiful shine. The other thing that I have done, and might even do now, who knows, but I might melt some apricot preserves or some apple jelly or something that I might have, and you can actually brush that on the pie whenever it's done. And it makes for such a great, and I do mean great, pie crust. It's so glossy and beautiful. After I've done that, I'll bake it for just a few minutes with that apple jelly or apricot preserves. And then I will sprinkle it with a little, you know, regular sugar. And that's it. So at this point, I am going to do a pie shield, and then we're going to put it in the pie shield. We just do one long strip of aluminum foil, and I actually pieced two pieces together, wrap it around the edge of the pie, and then we're going to turn it down just over the edge of that crust. You don't want to crush the crust. You're just trying to keep that crust from being so exposed to the oven temperature so that it has a chance to bake a little slower. This will definitely reflect some of the heat away and will give us a better finished product in the end. So we're going to do that. And basically that's it. We pie shield it. I put it on a pan. I put it in a 350 degree oven for about 50 minutes to an hour. When I come back at this point, the pie will be out of the oven. It'll be cool and it will be ready to slice up, and I'll slice up a piece and give it a taste. So we'll talk to you in a couple hours. Yeah, I couldn't wait till it got cool. I'm sorry. It is a thing. You know, when you're talking about an apple pie like this, look at the internal sexiness of it. Now, I will tell you, when you cut them hot, the crust is a little more crumbly. So, you know, I got my pie here, and I am ready to take my first bite of my apple pie. You know what I need is vanilla ice cream and caramel sauce. If I had that, this would be absolutely amazing, but I don't. I would marry me. I would marry me, move to Montana with me, and make babies with me. That's how good this pie is. I'm not kidding you. Y'all, this... You need to make you one of these. It's amazing. It's really good. So now, don't forget, like and subscribe. We're making more pies this week. We're making some casseroles next week. It's going to be nice. So, getting you ready for Thanksgiving. Because that's what it's all about, making sure you got the goods when you show up at Aunt Clarinda's place. So, anyhow, thank you for dropping by. I appreciate it. We appreciate all the views, all the comments, and every nice thing you have to say. We read everyone, we take it very seriously, and we look forward to talking to you soon. Bye.